Wanna talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
I want to clarify what I said in the last hour. The approval or the Obama, will vote for Obama among black Americans down at 75%. That's in North Carolina where they did this particular survey. But North Carolina is one of the battleground states. You know, how many will vote for Obama in California or New York is irrelevant. The Democrats will win those states. But in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, in Virginia, in Iowa, in New Hampshire, Wisconsin, those are the states where this, Missouri I should throw in, those are the states where this race will be determined. And let's face it, life for black Americans, like life for white and Hispanic and Oriental and native-born Americans, is getting worse, not better. Our economy sucks. Barack Obama said the private sector is doing fine. Who needs help? Our state and local governments, so they can hire more teachers, more police officers, more firemen. Well, hello, Dave?
Yeah, well, you know, that's what socialism does, except for the elite that are running the government. It brings everyone down to being miserable, and that's what he's accomplishing. Although with our ability to still have elections, and maybe our ability to get more people to both see this and realize that the way to a good life is not through food stamps, then we can succeed. But we need to do it this election. If this guy gets another 4 years, I believe he will be taking dictatorial powers, as he is attempting to do with things like you mentioned the last hour, which is take ditches and gullies that are privately owned under the administration of the federal government. He's edging towards it. He's got drones looking at us, invading our privacy in our backyards, our front yards, our bedrooms. As you pointed out, in Indiana, you have police breaking down doors and making illegal entrances into homes. This thing is multiplying, and it's getting out of control. And we need to set him back with the election. We need to set the Democrats back. A lot of Democrats are beginning to realize that putting their faith in Obama is going to screw them out of a job. And we need to help them along the road, pat them on the back and say, go back to the private sector and make a living, and let's run things for a while and see what we can do.
General, your thoughts?
I think Dave's right on. He's hit it right square down the road, and I think that's absolutely true. We have got to, you know, we need to get into the White House, into the Congress, into the Supreme Court. We need to get people who are completely dedicated to this nation, who are dedicated to the United States of America, and who are trying their very, very best to make good things happen. And we're not having that. We're having a sort of a bunch of clowns in this administration. And I wish to God we could get rid of them in the election and really get some people in who would run this country.
Now, the Democrats under Harry Reid in the Senate, who have not had a budget since Barack Obama became president, have said that if they maintain control in the Senate, they're going to do away with the filibuster so that with 51 votes, they can pass whatever they want to pass. Dave, your thoughts on that?
Well, they have to get, don't they have to get 60 votes to get rid of the filibuster?
Absolutely not.
No. They do not? All right, well, more reason. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying the Republicans at one time were talking about what they call the nuclear option, that through the rules, that the filibuster is a Senate rule. Through the Rules Committee, they can undo the filibuster, and that only takes a majority, 51 votes.
More reason to win the Senate, more reason to win the House, more reason to win the presidency. All of you guys, and I know Alan is coming up pretty soon, and maybe I'm teeing it up for him a little bit, but he hates both the idea of Obama being reelected and Romney being elected, which leaves us with I don't know who exactly, but we've got to get. We know what Obama is. We know what he's done. We know what he intends to do. He is no longer hiding what he says. He's doing it, and he's doing it to us. Romney, on the other hand, probably deserves a chance. He is not Obama. He has been successful in business. He has governed states. He has run businesses. Obama has run nothing in his life other than the presidency, and he is ruining this country because he does not know. He knows what he's doing, but he doesn't know about American exceptionalism. He does not like this country, and he's running it into the ground.
General, you've been around long enough to know what Europe is really like. You know, they put on the facade, but basically Europe is a top-heavy ruling group that allows their people to do this and that, but really there's no real upside. It's rare that anyone in England or France or Italy or Greece or Germany, for that matter, rises from poverty to wealth. It just doesn't happen over there. The average European lives in their home for 100 years. People, they just don't have the movement. They don't have the options. They don't have what we have here. They never have had. And if it weren't for America, Europe would be, one big Nazi death camp, in my humble opinion. What is yours?
That's probably right. I've lived in Europe about 12 years, I guess, all told, off and on. I like the Europeans. I enjoy being with them. I've gotten to know them very well. I've gotten to know what turns them on, what causes them to do some of the things that they do. You've described them very accurately, I think, down the road. But at the same time, remember that there are people like Margaret Thatcher around. Thank God for Margaret Thatcher. And even though she's not in power now, she certainly was a bright, shining light, and she lit that pathway to power in England. And I would hope that some people in some of these other countries, like Germany, for example, the Netherlands, and in England, obviously, that I wish some of these people would follow her leadership and go down the same road she went down and turn their countries around so that they are good Republican, democratic countries.
Now, we have today a crisis, and it's a crisis that people in this country don't really understand. You don't have banks that are broke. You don't have businesses that are broke. You have countries that are broke. Greece could go dark. They owe hundreds of millions of euros to the Russians for the gas that they use for energy. They don't have the money to pay it. Italy doesn't have the money to pay its bills. Portugal, Spain. And what you have in Europe is basically one country that is supporting all the others, Germany. And the German people are not saying no, they're saying hell no. They do not want Germany to commit to bail these other people out, because if they do, then there's no one to bail Germany out, and if Germany goes, it's over. There's nothing left. Now, Dave, you follow this. Your thoughts?
Well, even McDonald's now is saying that they're having sales problems in Europe because of the stuff that's going on over there, and it's going to be it's just another signal. We've had all this evidence over the years. You can almost understand the FDR administration thinking they could spend their way out of the Depression. Very analogous to what's going on today. because there really wasn't all that history, although you'd have to go back maybe to the Romans and things, and when they outspent. But today we have so much ample evidence, and it's happening right before our eyes in Europe, and was happening before Barack Obama was inaugurated, that socialism doesn't work, and that eventually you run out of other people's money, as Margaret Thatcher, as the good general pointed out, said at one point, and it just doesn't work, because you can't tax the rich who are going to leave if you tax everything they've got, and are going to find another place, either another state or another country, where they can live without all their assets being confiscated. And then you have poor, sad people all over the place with nowhere to go and nothing to do. And this is what the lessons of history, which is why I have to say to you, I don't see how Barack Obama is considered smart. Did he not study history? Did he not study what happened in China and Soviet Union and places like that? Where are all the people that are supposed to understand this in Harvard? Do they not teach us in Harvard, where he graduated? So that's my take on it.
Now, General, let's just do some conjecturing here. Are you all right? All right. General, let's do some conjecturing. Let us say, for the sake of discussion, that Barack Obama is not reelected, that the Republicans have effective control in the Senate and effective control in the House, to where, even though if they allow the filibuster to continue, they can't get around a filibuster by the Democrats, they still can push an agenda. If that were to be the case, and President Romney would have called Major General Jerry Curry and say, all right, what would you suggest we do from a foreign policy perspective and from a military perspective? What would you suggest?
First of all, I'd suggest that you make me White House Chief of Staff, Mr. President, because then I've got the strength and the ability to coordinate all of these different efforts. And then as far as foreign policy goes, the United States has to walk a middle line. We cannot walk too far to the left. We can't go too far to the right. But we do need to be walking in the middle of all of the things that are going on with our country and with our nation and with the world, as far as that goes. We've got to be very, very careful. We've got the Russians who are up to mischief all the time. We got the Chinese who are up to mischief all the time. And the United States of America has somehow got to chart a way through the shoals and the rocks and not allow ourselves to get bogged down in between somewhere with the Russians and with the Chinese. So I would just say to you that it's got to be a very firm policy, a very strong policy. We can't give away to the left. We can't give away to the right. But we have got to just simply walk straight down the line as best we can and do the best we can for the nation.
Now, having said that, let's get some specifics. Let's put some meat on those bones. In the Middle East, what if you were to be a chief of staff and you were advising the new president what we should or should not do, what would you say?
Well, I say, first of all, you got to realize, Mr. President, that the countries that we have in the Middle East, let's take any of them, Egypt, for example, Syria, any of these kinds of countries, these countries are all run by, when they are run successfully, they are run by dictatorships. Dictatorships throughout all of the Middle East that has been going on for hundreds of years. That's what runs the Middle East. And if you don't have dictatorships, then there's the tendency for people to splinter off in all sorts of Islamic parties, like the Arab Brotherhood, for example, and go down those kinds of roads. So I think that that's one of the things we have to understand is, what are we talking about here? We're talking about having a country, pardon me, we're talking about having a country that will cause all sorts of difficulties, all sorts of problems. We kick out Mubarak, they will bring in a worse person but they will tell us that it's gentle, it's lovely, it's Arab springtime, and everything is wonderful. And in the meantime, they are bringing in a worse bunch of thugs than we've got running the country. So that's what I would sort of be leaning toward in the Middle East.
All right, let's turn to China. We are beholden to China, although, as we said last time, China owes us money. They've simply said they're not going to pay it. Would you recommend, in your mind, that we offset what they owe us with what we owe them and then keep them at arm's length and stop them from, building their military on the business that we're giving them?
I would have done that a year or 2 years ago, but right now we have built this house of cards, and we are living in it, and it could come down around our ears at any time. The Chinese, God bless them, they have their own sort of way of going about doing business, and it's not our way of doing business. But I just think you do with the Chinese pretty much what we're doing now with them. Gentle, kind, don't get stupid, don't do anything violent to cause them to react in a violent way. And I think we're walking on eggs, and I think we're going to have to walk on eggs until we get our financial house in order.
David, let me get you in this discussion. Financial discussion perhaps is first and foremost. If you were advising the new administration, assuming there will be one, I hope there is, financially, what would you suggest they do?
Well, first of all, you don't have to make me chief of staff. I'd rather not be tied to any administration, especially the current one. I'd rather maintain my independence. But if they wanted my advice on financial, they would take to some serious spending cuts, both in entitlements and in terms of taxes. You are not going to gain jobs by raising taxes on the quote-unquote rich, which in their minds is anyone that makes, in fact, at first it was anyone that had sales of over $250,000 a year, much less income of over $250,000 a year. They were saying that for a long time. So it shows how clueless they are as to what makes this country run. Reagan had a similar situation when he came in after Carter. And yes, at times he raised taxes, at times, but for the most part, he lowered the taxes significantly. And instead of getting the paltry 69,000 jobs gained that we had last month, which I believe McDonald's will do in a month in terms of gaining jobs, Reagan was bringing in 300,000 to 500,000 new jobs every month, and eventually cut down the unemployment rate significantly through his second term. So those are the kinds of economic policies that we need. We need to cut our spending in relationship to gross national product. I believe it's like 25 to 30% now. We need to cut that back to under 20%. And it's like anybody's budget in their own home. If you spend more than you have, you either become reliant on China or Russia, or whoever's going to lend you the money, or you go broke, or both.
Now, both of you have heard of something called the fair tax, a consumption-centered tax. You eliminate all federal government involvement with individuals or businesses, which, by the way, the Constitution doesn't allow anyway. And you simply have a consumption tax, which is administered by each of the states, where people pay when they buy whatever it is that they buy, and you have some offset for people who are under a certain income level with stiff requirements and inspection. But the bottom line is, estimates are that people on the same amount of money would be able to buy substantially more because of all the hidden tax in every level of production, or every level of our economy, where when you buy the seed manufacturer pays tax. When you plant the seed and raise a crop, the farmer pays tax. When the farmer sells the product to the processor pays tax. When the processor processes it and sells it to the manufacturers of bread or whatever it might be, they pay tax. Then the stores that market it pay tax. The distributors. And the bottom line is 25% of every dollar that we spend is paying for taxes paid at the various levels. If you eliminate all that and you put a 25% consumption tax, people end up paying less money, in that the prices would come down 25%, then you add 25%, but no one's paying any taxes, so everyone has 25% more money. General, are you familiar with the fair tax?
Yeah, I didn't know it went like sort of like you just described it, but yes, I am familiar with the flat tax. And having lived in Europe a long time, I got accustomed to the European tax, which is called a value-added tax. And the value-added tax was slapped on everything at the point of sale.
Right, and of course the value-added tax meant you pay tax at every level of manufacturer when you added value, and they still had income tax. The fair tax is not a flat tax. The fair tax eliminates every single tax: Social Security, FICA, income tax, estate tax. There are no taxes. The only source of revenue for the government would be this consumption tax, and the consumption tax would limit how much the government gets, so that if they need X amount, then once they get X amount, the tax just goes away for the rest of the year, or they lower the amount of tax to where it will come out to where the government gets the set amount, where right now when we have good times, governments get a windfall and they spend every dime of it. David?
Well, Stan, you're absolutely right. And in fact, I would venture to say that you would be paying for a whole division in our armed forces just with the taxes you'd be paying on shoe polish.
Well, I do appreciate your lack of intellect, but you know what? The bottom line is our economy is a capitalistic, opportunistic economy, and if we take government tethers off of that economy, I believe the economy will absolutely explode. General, your thoughts, since Dave is at this point trying to extract his head from a certain orifice.
I think it will explode too, and I think we'd be off and running. The tax business is something that we need to be very clear about, and then we need to be very strong about it. And we need to lay it out and say, this is what we are going to do, and then we need to do it without any exceptions. For example, I got to tell you, I do not understand the idea that 40-some% of Americans don't pay any kind of income tax. I don't understand that. A fair tax means everybody, antes up, everybody pays. The guy who's got a lot of money pays a lot. The guy who has little money pays little, but everybody pays.
And that concept is one called everyone pushes the wagon. The stronger people can add more oomph than can the weaker people, but if half the people are riding in the wagon, then those pushing the wagon will get the point, they'll be exhausted, and then the wagon will not move. Now let's see if David can come back with an equally intellectually superior comment.
Well, I could hardly surpass your intellect, especially since you've become 20 years younger every single week that we're on the air. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's I don't know if that particular tax is going to do it all. We still have to cover things like our armed forces. There are necessary things government has to do, and there's going to be some necessary things to wean people off of the food stamps and welfare. And we're going to have to, of course, stimulus is out of the picture. But yes, we need a dramatic change in our tax structure, and a tax on goods and services means that rich guys who are buying yachts will pay more taxes, and people who are paying for groceries will be paying little taxes. But everybody's skin is going to be in the game. So you won't have the situation now where, as the general said, we got almost 50% of the people not paying money. When that goes to 51%, you got 51% of the population voting to raise the taxes on the 49% of the people who are paying taxes. So, and that is a disastrous picture, and we become Europe.
All right, we're just about out of time. General, just a closing thought, sir.
I studied economics in college, quite a bit of economics, but I learned my economics at the foot of my mother. She taught me economics, and she taught it this way for the country. You spend more money than you got, you have a deficit, and you're going to have to borrow. And if you borrow, you're going to have to pay it back somewhere down the line. So, dear old mom, thank God, she got me through all of this highfalutin thought about economics, and I understand how the basic system works.
General, thank you for being with us. Dave is going to stay with us as we talk with former Ambassador Alan Keyes. Thank you, sir, for being with us, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Bye, General.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
We'll be right back, folks. Do you like to eat? I do. We all run to the store if we're hungry, right? Well, there are times when that doesn't work. And for those times, and it may be for an hour, and it may be for a day, and it may be for a week, who knows, God's in charge, you need to have quality food. Alpine Air, that's what this is, quality food. It has extended shelf life, and it tastes great. You should store what you eat and eat what you store. Just go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for the Alpine Air foods. It's incredibly reasonable. It's actually a way to save money. Alpine Air has quality food that's going to be there when you need it. It's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Alpine Air at cpnlive.com. Click on the icon and protect your family. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mozy, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mozy, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mozy. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mozy, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mozy, the backup people. I am holding in my hand a product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. It's a natural antibiotic that works. You know, the reason we use silver to make cutlery, silverware, is because nothing grows on silver. It's the reason they put it in your teeth. It's the reason they use silver instruments to operate on the brain. TR10 is very inexpensive. Just go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for the TR10, and order a quart. It's so inexpensive, it's really silly, but it's invaluable when you have a sore throat, when you have a cold, when you have something you're concerned about in yourself, your child, whether you have to spray it in your eyes or swallow it or put it on your skin, makes no difference. It's totally safe. It has less silver than is the safe level in drinking water, yet it's done in such a way that it does the job. A natural antibiotic, yours, TR10, Supercolloidal Silver, from cpnlive.com. Just click on the icon. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.